Yeah, so I'm right here. Welcome live to the Gun Hill Bane podcast. I'm your host, Gun Hill Bane, and today we're going to talk about the Survivor Series War Games San Diego. And I watched that last night, and I have to tell you this. And you know what? I'm trying to get my composure. Well, let's be real here. I'm trying to get my composure. Just woke up, worked last night. Had some nice dinner. Smoke a little bogey in hands right now, so I'm feeling kind of nice. I'm feeling kind of good. Before I wasn't acting like that in the morning when I first initiated uh wanted to review Survivor Series completely. And the only reason that I haven't even reviewed AEW Full Gear last week. I mean, it was very simple. It's just that I just didn't feel like podcasting. I didn't feel like podcasting. I don't know. I just rather just chill, play Destiny 2, just have a nice life. Shout out to all the wrestling podcasters out there who decided to make it a weekly thing or whatever breaking news comes out of it. Then they give you their perspective. I mean, they're very in tune to their craft, but they've been doing this for years, so it's nothing to them. I'm new at this, and quite frankly, I don't want to be caught up in a schedule. I didn't want to be caught up with any type of like that I have to, you know, talk about it as soon as news breaks or whatever the case may be, unless it's something really serious, and then I have to. But we kind of all know that Full Gear was going to be awesome. But I wanted to compare that with Survivor Series War Games. So I hope that some people can understand where I'm coming from when it comes to my view on what professional wrestling should be. And I'm a guy who grew up watching the WWE, then the WWF during the golden years. So I have seen, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, Papa Shango. I mean, then you move on to Bret the Hitman Hart, British Bulldog. I've been there through all of that. Just like everyone else who's a AEW fan, a New Japan fan, blah, blah, blah. They all started either watching the golden age of the WWF, the golden age of WCW. If you're from Japan, it's mostly all Japan. So, yes, we all come from those humble beginnings. But as I grew older, I got into the Generation X telling you to suck it. Then the Attitude Era comes in, which was a bad era for a guy in his teens, because everyone's want to be impressionable. But it was so cool. The NWO took over. There was more bad language. There was more mature subject matter. You know, it was shocking. It was shocking TV, but it was in an era that we so desperately needed. You know, they want to keep things fresh and new, and it was awesome. It was so awesome. So, having said that, when we approach close to the 2000s and the WWE became publicly traded, and mind you, there have been a lot of incidents along the way. I mean, what happened with Eddie Guerrero? What happened with Owen Hart? What happened with Chris Benoit? So, of course, changes had to be made. I think it was during the Ruthless Aggression era. The Ruthless Aggression era, where you had John Cena, where you had Randy Orton, when you had Batista, when you had Brock Lesnar. That era changed the whole entire structure of professional wrestling forever. The Ruthless Aggression era. Having said that, over time, something changed. Something changed in the company. Stories got cornier. Things didn't seem to stick. Shit got boring, man. And then it was CM Punk himself. CM Punk and Money in the Bank, Chicago. Another great storyline that John Cena has done. By the way, shout out to John Cena. He's the greatest wrestler in the entire world. Selfless. He's a good man. You know, he's the Hulk Hogan that we wanted Hulk Hogan to be. Right? Like he looks like the type of guy, and I met him a couple of times, that he's genuinely a good person and cares about everybody, regardless of who they are, where they come from, their creed, color of the skin, anything like that. He respects a person of their character, not because of where they're from. And I respect that. But, having said that, he made things still. And then the whole thing with CM Punk and how this whole entire industry is just following one character and blah, blah, blah. And I thought that was cool. But it was around that time I started to get into New Japan. And then my eyes just opened. The hits were harder. It was more brutal. I mean, as a matter of fact, if I could think of Tanahashi, Nakamura, Tanahashi, Nakamura, Okada, and Tanahashi. The hits were harder. And then, you know what? Before the Samoans ever came to the WWE, they were known as the Gorillas of Destiny, Bullet Club. I heard a lot of foul language. I heard F bombs. I heard everything. And it was on a Japanese freaking like show. I don't know how I would be able to watch, New Japan. Maybe it was on YouTube or something, but it opened my eyes. I think it was around 2010, 2011, give or take. That was cool, man. And it opened my eyes because, and then you have the form of MMA coming over. As you get older, you start to realize what they're putting out in the WWE is all an act. There are wrestling out there that still follows some sort of realism. Whether it's hitting the guy harder than most, whether it's your guy is bleeding harder than most. It's the war of attrition. It is that if you put soldiers into a battlefield, chances are you're not going to come out of it unscathed. You'll be lucky enough to have some lacerations in war, much less lose your life or your limbs or whatever the case may be. And I'm not trying to trigger anyone who has been in that shit, and for that I apologize. But that is what I feel when it comes to that war of attrition in terms of professional wrestling. Because before it was a show, entertainment of styles, blah, 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 it was always about competition. And you know what? Maybe I was also spoiled with ECW because they did some off the wall thing. And I tell you this, watching ECW at 12 midnight on MSG is one of the biggest nights of my life. On a Saturday night, MSG, 12 midnight. Oh my goodness. The violence, the sex involved, the gratuitous language, it was anarchy, and I loved it. It was gritty. It was fresh and new, and I love that aspect. So maybe all of those things put together made me appreciate AEW a lot more. And it made me appreciate Tony Khan a lot more. Because at the end of the day, those who have watched AEW, Those who have watched Blood and Guts, those who have watched Full Gear, can tell you that Tony Khan will give you everything you want and then some. You're gonna come out with a good time. It doesn't matter if it was 500 people in attendance. It doesn't matter if it was 25,000 people in Globe Life Stadium, and it didn't matter if it was over 81,000 people in Wembley Stadium, where I went to. They're going to give you a great time. If they give you a cage match, expect blood. If they're going to give you no disqualifications, expect violence. Expect tables. Expect fire. Last night was not none of those things. Last night was a fraud of itself. A disgusting fraud upon itself that the WWE has committed solely for the purpose of greed. Survivor Series used to be the most important pay-per-views of the holiday season. I remember one. I'm trying to remember here, and I could be wrong here, but there was one Survivor Series that I watched when I was little that involved Chuck Norris. And I can't remember if it was Bret Hart versus Bob Backlund. That was one of the main events or whatever. But listen, I've always remembered Survivor Series as traditional. You know, 5-on-5 elimination style matches. And they had makeshift teams. That they had the Hulkamaniacs versus the Visionaries. I mean, you know what? The Visionaries. The freaking Visionaries. That's kind of crazy because there was a Survivor Series team called the Visionaries. I forgot what year it was. I'm looking it up right now. Survivor Series 1990. We'll say 1990 Visionaries. Okay, yes. So I was right. It was 1990, and the Visionaries. Not so. Yeah. So the Visionaries back in the day was Captain Rick Martel, the Warlord Hercules, and Paul Roma with manager Slick. A lot of you youngins probably have no idea who the names are, but you know what? It is what it is. And then now you have these Visionaries of Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, and of course, Mr. Stone Cold Brock Lesnar. So, yeah. I don't like this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like the star power. I don't like the pomp and circumstance. I don't like all this bullshit. I don't like the advertisements on the ring. I don't like a lack of story. You people, for years, try to diss AEW and try to diss AEW fans for not having a story when in actuality it's because you refuse to follow it. This Survivor Series had no story. This Survivor Series had no teeth, no beef to any of this. There was no reason for any of this to even occur. As a matter of fact, the WWE last night would have been better off having that same match, that same men's match, the same women's match without the use of the cage. You could have made that a 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination style match, and it would have gave more intrigue. It would have gave more unpredictability. It could have been 4-on-1. It could have been 5-on. You could have done it in so many ways. You could have done it in so many ways, indeed. No, no, but you don't want to do that because you want to make sure your egos are happy. That main event match was the most egotistical match I ever seen in my entire life. Everyone has an ego to them. Logan Paul has an ego to him. Cody Rhodes has an ego to him. Phil Brooks. I do not like Phil Brooks. All right? Roman Reigns has an ego to him. Usos have an ego to him. I mean, Jay is eating all over the damn place. And for some people, now, the only reason the Survivor Series last night was even remotely special. And yes, you can add John Cena into that reason because it's John Cena's final pay-per-view appearance before he officially retires from the WWE. So yes, that is a big selling point, but that is just the semi, point, the semi, point of the whole matter. The reason the Survivor Series last night was booked as big as it's supposed to was because it was taking place from Petco Field, was it Petco Park in San Diego, a baseball stadium. And let me tell you this, it looked beautiful. You have 46,000 people in that stadium. It looked nice. They tried the presentation has always been top notch when it comes to the WWE. They tried something with the pyrotechnics for the afternoon. They're like, well, people can't really see the colors out of the fireworks. Remember WrestleMania 24 in Orlando? I mean, it was still light out. The WrestleMania they had in Santa Clara, they couldn't even do any fireworks in the daytime. It was way too bright. So now they tried, using like color smoke, color powder for the pyrotechnics. And then you know what? It came out pretty damn good. For the first time they did it, I didn't even know such technology like that existed. And for the most part, yeah, it's a huge crowd and a huge stadium. And it makes me wonder to myself, had Tony Khan moved Blood and Guts from a Dynamite TV special to an actual pay-per-view, and then said he will do it outside of a stadium somewhere, whatever, would he get as much people to take part of it? Then I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. But because he's not a shrewd, money-hungry fucking prick like Triple H, who wants to market on this every single year to the point where that it doesn't show any type of emotion, like what happened with the Hell in a Cell. He's doing it on free TV because he just loves it. He's not in it for the money. I don't understand why people think that he's hemorrhaging money. What makes you guys think he does not have unlimited money? He does not care. He does not care about ratings or how many people are in the arena or whatever the case may be. He does it because he just loves it. He's a mark. God bless Tony Khan. He's a mark. And being a mark is a good thing. That means you're a fan of wrestling. I don't know why anyone takes the word mark in a negative sense, but it makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. I don't know, man. The women's match, the women's Survivor Series match. It was so lazy. It was lazy. Remember the review I gave on Blood and Guts? You had Sky Blue, petite little Sky Blue, right? Sexy model, by the way. Going into the post, cutting herself open, and she looked like Carrie from the horror films. What the hell is this? The only cool thing about that women's match was the outfit Charlotte was wearing, and that's all because that there was a girl, I think, who was diagnosed with something, created that outfit for her with using crayons and pictures, and I thought that was cool. This was the brightest amount of first off, I've never seen Charlotte Flair's outfit to be this bright, like this colorful, right? Like very colorful. And the same for Nyla Jax. Why is Nyla Jax wearing a face outfit? You see, you got the white and the pink. I didn't notice that. That was weird to me too. That made no sense. Like, and you're gonna make Io Sky the Kofi Kingston of War Games now? It's like every time she's involved in a War Games match, you have to expect her to have a trash can over her head, which stalled the whole entire thing. The whole entire thing. My God, 46,000 people in that stadium was bored as hell. They were bored. The only reason they came was because of John Cena and for the clout. That was only it. Do anyone of right mind, right sound body, and sound mind is willing to pay up to not even $3,000 now? It's like front row seats are like 32 grand. 32 grand. That's a down payment on a house. For this? For this? For this pay-per-view? If you are a WWE fan, you should feel insulted by this. Because you know you guys are full of shit. You know that this pay-per-view was shit. You know it wasn't as exciting as you thought it was. But you made it so. You want to make it so because of the star power involved. You are what's wrong with professional wrestling. You want to make this into a pageantry show and make it less about the wrestling, but more about the presentation and the sing-alongs and that. And to some, maybe that's the feeling that they wanted. The feel that they're part of something. But for me, I wanted to see violence. I wanted to see brutality. I wanted to see anger. They rarely use the cage. And the only person, and you know what? I will give this man credit. I will give this man credit. Fragile Phil Brooks tried his damnedest to actually add some color. For that one moment, for that one particular moment, he remembered his days in AEW, and he remembered what it was like to be part of a cage match and expecting anarchy to happen. And he was the only man to have bled in that match. I could be wrong. He was the only man who would try to get himself some color in that match. Wasn't very good at it, but still, he tried to add some little realism into it. Like, I'm going to expect myself. Like, you're going to want me to believe. You want to want me to believe. You have 10 of the most ego-filled, massive, I don't know, sick. I didn't even say six. It's just like all this ego. 10 of them. You put it in a double cage. And not even a trickle of blood from any of the competitors. Not even a force of pain. WCW have done it. I mean, the WWE back in the day done it. It's like, it makes no sense. Why have a cage match if you're just going to pussify it? Why have a cage match if you're still going to come out looking pretty? I mean, Now, not all of us came out looking pretty. I mean, Braun Breaker, I don't know what move happened upon him, but the back of the head and his neck smacked down on the ground. It's amazing that he didn't have his neck broken because of that. And I don't want to mention about this, but that's another thing about the WWE and their fans I don't understand. They hate on AEW fans for loving the fact that these wrestlers put themselves through so much danger and so much violence, worrying about whether or not that any of them are going to get seriously injured. Meanwhile, these guys present a safe, vanilla environment, and most of their stars get injured seriously. Like, and I'm not trying, and I'm knocking on wood here because at the end of the day, I want everyone to be safe and sound. I don't want to wish, you know, hateful injuries upon one another, but this is the comparison that I'm seeing right now. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Solution time. Stop it with the war games. Okay? If you're not going to build any type of storyline that's going to lead into a war games match, stop making it the gimmick match of every single show. It's obvious to me that you can have a fine Survivor Series without the use of the cage. Prove that by filling out a stadium of 45,000 people. So, the cage match, and maybe that's another reason. Maybe people wanted to see a cage match also. So, yeah, but you lied to those folks. You lied to them. You lied to them. Because AEW does a better cage match than the WWE. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Stick to your traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination style match. If the main event was an elimination style match instead of a War Games match, as I said, it would have been so much better. What if the last two people were left was like Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, and the winner had to win for their team, or CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, basically, or a combination of Logan Paul, and Logan Paul and the Usos, you know, dude, it could have gone either way. But I guess no one wants to take the pinfall because everyone wants to be Hulk Hogan. May he rest in peace. That doesn't work for me, brother. Yeah. No one wants to be the guy to take the pin. No one. I don't even know who won. I don't even care. Oh yes, some mysterious guy came out of nowhere and curb stomped them. I don't know who he curb stomped, but apparently everyone is thinking of Seth Rollins. I mean, where did Seth Rollins get injured, by the way? Was it his leg? Anyone could do the curb stomp. Anyone. But of course, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that could be Dean Ambrose." No, it's not. You need to stop it. First off, it's not Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose is no longer with us. His name is John Moxley, and he's currently in the Continental Classic. So no, we will end that. But it could be Seth Rollins. I have seen these guys talk about their long ass injuries only for them to come out, months earlier at a time. Or it could be Becky Lynch, because I mean, let's face it, Becky Lynch did what she needed to do, so now she's back to, fucking her husband's shit, and it will make a lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But you see, that was the type of thing. And then he had Liv Morgan making a comeback. See, it was always about pops and returns. Right? It was very little to do about the wrestling. Though I will say that Dominic Mysterio, um, he's gonna be big. I mean, he's gonna be big. I mean, you can blame it on nepotism, basically, but this kid, once he gets a little bit bigger, gets more experience into the business itself, he has mannerisms of Eddie Guerrero. If he can just channel into that a little bit more, he could be a major player in the WWE for years to come. I mean, he should. Dirty Dom to me should be the guy that they should lead into the future. But that's up to Dirty Dom. He needs to present himself as that guy. I could see a face Dirty Dom. Remember a face Eddie Guerrero? It could be something like that. Because a face turn is coming soon. It won't happen for a while, maybe a year or two, but down the road, you're gonna see a face, Dominic Mysterio, and I think that he's gonna sell a lot of merch, basically, if they're ready to ride a train on him. But apparently, that's just one star. Now, everyone you see out there in that match, Brock Lesnar, freaking Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk. You know where this is leading to? I will guarantee you this is where it's leading to. Just hear me out here. Just hear me out here. Whatever at WrestleMania, we have a fatal four-way match. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. The winner becomes the WWE champion. See, that never happened before. If you can make that the main event on a Sunday, it will check off all the boxes. It will check off all the boxes. All right. For CM Punk, he gets his Sunday night main event to close the show. Not a Saturday main event that closes night one. No. And you're challenging for the company's title. Roman Reigns will seek to have his revenge on Cody. Everyone has beef with Brock Lesnar. I think that will make sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. And plus, you have these guys featured, in the WrestleMania Vegas promo. So my guess is that, all chips are in. You're cashing in all the chips that are in. Who's the world champion? I don't even remember. Who is the current, oh yeah, the current world champion is CM Punk, right? Yeah. Okay then. So all your chips in. The winner becomes the unified WWE champion. I just gave you guys a storyline for WrestleMania next year without the use of Chat GPT or anything like that. It's all in my head. It's all in my head. You could set this up as soon as the Royal Rumble. Make some bullshit happen like both men had their feet to the floor and some shit like that. Or some chaos happened, and then some chaos happened again at Elimination Chamber in which we can't have we didn't have a good challengers. I mean, to me that makes all of the sense in the world. Fatal four-way match for the unified WWE Championship. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar. I would add Drew McIntyre into the list, but I have a theory. I have a theory that is going to be Drew McIntyre versus Braun Breaker for some damn reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. That's why I'm just popping into my head here. But yeah, that's the future of this. Listen, just scrap the War Games aspect. Leave the title to leave that for AEW because we do it much better and much more violent than you guys will ever do. It's not in your DNA anymore. All right? You need to start playing to your strengths. You need to stop this crap once and for all. All right? If you're not going to shed blood, don't have a cage match. Period. All right? Stop wasting resources on something that you're barely going to use because it just comes out looking stupid. Okay? It comes out looking completely stupid. You need to do your fans a service here. All right? To stop with the War Games Act. Or give it to NXT. Let the NXT stars, break their backs or whatever, figuratively speaking, by the way. Let them have fun with it. They come from places in which, cage matches are not a thing to them. Let them have their way with it. If you're so concerned about your investments in the WWE, then just give the War Games aspect back to NXT. That sells tickets, you know? I don't know, man. You tell me. You tell me in the comments what I'm trying to say here. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? You gotta let me know. You gotta let me know. So, as always, oh my god, this was fun. This has been a long one, hasn't it? Been 35 minutes. Thank you guys for that. That felt good. Anyway, just hear me from the comments and whatnot, and we'll talk later. Peace.